Solving linear inequalities. In these examples, we're going to solve more complex inequalities that maybe have multiple variables or have variables on both sides of the inequality symbol. Okay, so we see that this is an inequality symbol, and then we're going to basically solve the inequality because we only have one variable, so it's the same technique as we've done in the past. So I'm going to get my variables on the same side. And I'm going to do that first. Okay, so I have a 5x on one side of the inequality and a minus 3x on the other side. So since it's minus 3x, I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So 5x plus 3x is 8x, plus 4 is less than 3. So then I have to subtract the 4 from both sides to get my constants on the other side. So what I have is 8x is less than 3 minus 4 is negative 1. And then I'm going to divide by 8. So x is less than negative 1 over 8. And that is your final answer. For this next one, we have 5y minus 6 is greater than 2y minus 7. So we're going to start the same way because there's only one variable, so all we're going to do is solve for that variable. So we're going to get the variable on the same side. And then we're going to get the constants on the other side. So those are the steps we're going to do. So the first thing is you can either subtract the 5y over or you could subtract the 2y over. I'm going to subtract 2y and then subtract over the inequality symbol, both sides. So that 2y is going to cancel out to 0, and we have 5y minus 2y, which is 3y, minus 6, which is greater than negative 7. And now we need to get the constants on the other side, so I need to take this 6 that doesn't have a y and put it over there. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides, giving me 3y is greater than negative 1. And then finally I need to divide by 3 because it's 3 times y. And my final answer is y is greater than negative 1/3. So we solve it in the same way we would solve the equation. It's just an inequality symbol. And if we ever end up dividing by a negative, we have to remember to flip that inequality symbol, just like we would before. It is also possible that we might have to solve for a variable when we have multiple variables. We have an x and we have a y. So we might have to solve for one of them. And when we solve for one variable, when we have multiple variables, it becomes a graph on the coordinate system. We're not going to talk about graphing these today. We're just going to talk about setting them up. So if we have something in this form and we want to solve for y, we need to get the y by itself. So if this was an equal sign, we would know how to do that. So we're going to do the same technique as we would if it were an equal sign. So we're going to get everything away from the y. So what is away? We're going to work outside in. So we have a plus 3x. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. And then that leaves me with a negative 2 times y, which is greater than negative 3x plus 5. Okay, the next step is to get rid of the negative 2. It's negative 2 times y. So if it was an equal sign, we would do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. Divide by -2. Divide by -2. And I have y is less than. Now remember that when you divide by a negative, you need to flip the inequality symbol. So that is why it's less than, because you have to flip the symbol. So y is less than negative 3x over -2 plus 5 over -2. So this 2 splits up with each part of these, and that leaves us with y is less than a positive 3 over 2x. And the reason I say positive is because we have a double negative here and we're dividing, so it switches to a positive. Negative divided by a negative is positive, plus negative 5 over 2. So I'm just going to write minus 5 over 2 because this minus can be pulled out here. So it's plus a negative or just minus. So there's your final answer. For this next one, we have 3x minus 4y is less than or equal to 24, and we again want to solve for y. So we're going to work outside in. So we're going to get rid of the positive, the plus 3x. So to get rid of a plus 3x, you subtract 3x from both sides of the inequality symbol, and leaving us with 4y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 24. And then we have to solve for the y, so we have 4y, 4 times y, so divide by 4. Divide by 4. Alright, and the final answer would then be y is less than or equal to negative 3 over 4 x, because the 4 can come over here. 4 also has to come over here. So plus 24 divided by 4. 24 can be divided by 4 and simplified, so my final answer there is y is less than or equal to negative 3 over 4 x plus 24 divided by 4 is 6. For this next example, we have negative 12x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 36. So I want to solve for y. So I'm going to do the opposite of minus 12x, which is plus 12x, to both sides. So I have 2y is greater than or equal to 12x plus 36. So now if I'm solving for y, I have 2 times y, so I need to divide by 2. Divide by 2. So I have y is greater than or equal to 12x over 2 plus 36 over 2. So the final answer is y is greater than or equal to 12 divided by 2 is 6, x plus 36 divided by 2 is 18. So that is your final answer. And for the final example, we have negative 4x minus 2y is less than 20. When we are solving this one, we do the same thing. We're solving for y, so we need to get everything away from the y. That would start by doing the opposite of minus 4x, which is plus 4x, to both sides, leaving me with negative 2y is less than 4x plus 20. Alright, now the next step is negative 2 times y. So I need to get rid of times y, which dividing by the number. Divide by negative 2. Because we're multiplying, to do the opposite we need to divide. So divide by negative 2. When I divide by a negative 2, and I have an inequality symbol, I have to flip it over. So that would be y is greater than 4x over negative 2 plus 20 over negative 2. Leaving me with y is greater than 4 divided by negative 2 is actually a negative 2, and you can type that into your calculator if you need to. You just divide by a negative number there, makes it negative, plus 20 divided by negative 2 is a negative 10. So how you would actually probably write your final answer is without the positive sign. So we have y is greater than negative 2x minus 10. And that is your final answer. So those are your notes over solving linear inequalities. Go through the practice problems and make sure that you can do these two different types, whether they're on two sides of the equal sign or whether you have two variables. And then you should be ready for your quiz.